together so they can try things. Young Politics Podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Nick, we're here to talk about M3Gan, and are you excited? Are you hyped? What did you know about M3Gan going into it?
All I knew is the meme, the dance. That's all I knew. I knew that James Wan was involved, and it was supposed to be. People talked about it as if it was a part of the Crypt Keeper a la Malignant universe. It's not a universe, but it's like it would go in the box set. Like this is the part of the new things James Wan's is doing. It's Malignant and then Megan, and I knew that, and I didn't like Malignant. And I knew the meme, and I knew the meme looked dumb. So I was not thrilled. I did not think this was going to be good. And then I heard all the hype.
No, hype ruins everything.
Hype. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'll watch it.
Sucks. It ruins everything. It's like this pepper that you didn't ask for. It's just like it informs your decisions on movies and your viewpoints on things. And I hate it. I wish I could go into things blind more.
Agreed. I mean, it's why I try to avoid trailers when I can.
Yeah.
I've been bad about it lately, but when you can avoid that trailer and everything's a surprise, and I didn't watch the trailer to this.
Good.
So most of the movie was a surprise.
Nice.
Except for the stuff that I saw in memes.
Yeah.
Like, how cool would it be if I didn't even know how Megan looked until the reveal? Like,
yeah.
How cool
No, it would be great.
You know?
I feel like I was very excited to see Megan because it's like it was being sort of it wasn't being compared to Malignant, but from the first trailer, it looked Malignant-esque, and I was hyped for it. My excitement could not be contained. Even after seeing this movie, my hype, because, I don't know if you know this, but James Wan and Blumhouse are merging basically and creating a new studio.
Oh, no.
So I am even more hyped for a potential Megan Malignant crossover. Remember we came up with the sequel idea called Benign for Malignant. Maybe
honestly,
the enemy is Megan, an AI that goes haywire.
I don't remember how great our pitch was.
It was
but
great.
That is a perfect name. That is a perfect name. Sequel for Malignant is Benign. That's so wonderful. But yeah, I mean, if we're talking about a movie where a doll like really closely attaches itself to the kid that it's a property of, and then somehow the AI and the doll goes haywire and starts connecting with other IA things, that'd be a good movie. But that's enough about Child's Play. Let's talk about Megan.
My God.
I will say,
you act as if Child's Play was the first one to do it. It's such a repetitive fucking theme in horror films. Like faulty
Name
AI.
one AI doll
is so fucking Chopping Mall from 1983 did the same.
No one knows what you're
thing.
talking about.
I do. I watch a lot of horror movies, and I'm saying that it's just this fucking. It's a concept that we've seen before. It's a concept that we're gonna definitely see again. But I think that I did not see Child's Play, and I had no interest in seeing Child's Play. But
you didn't see it?
I did not watch Child's Play. I do not want to watch that movie.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Great movie.
You liked it. I remember you liking it, but
it was great.
It's not Chucky. It's not the Chucky.
No, it wasn't. You had to separate it. You had to be like, this is Megan. We're like, dude, it's a different movie.
Yeah.
And because of that, I thought it was fun. It had good kills. It was interesting. It was funny. But if you watch that film, which only came out a couple years ago, and was my temple for AI doll, and then I watched this, I was like, well, okay, it's the same things, but all right, whatever. My God. but please go on. Where were you at for this movie? I knew you were excited.
I'm hyped. Look, I feel like for me, I know you're saying like, oh, because it was like this other movie that you were kind of less into it. But with horror movies, they're all very similar. Going in. Yeah, going into with horror movies, they're all very similar because Annabelle, I mean, granted that's a haunted, but AI doll is the same as haunted doll pretty much anyway.
No.
It's close enough.
Hard argue.
It's close enough.
So different.
It's spooky doll category. They're all fine.
No, AI is funny and demented is scary.
Okay.
I have never seen an AI where it wasn't funny. It's funny.
That's true.
You can't do AI seriously without camp, I don't think.
That's an interesting point. I could see that. Chucky TV series is the best.
I mean, Ex Machina was pretty good, I guess.
I guess that was AI. Yes.
Yeah. That was sort of scary. It was creepy.
It was
Thriller.
Yeah.
It was thrilling.
But yeah, so going into this, I feel like I'm more forgiving with horror movies in general. And I was really rooting for this to be a bad movie or a malignant kind of movie where they were at least aware of what they were doing and having a good time. And so going into it, I was very excited. Also, it's a January horror film. And if you watch anybody talk about films, they will all tell you that like January is where a lot of movie companies will put their movies that they don't necessarily think are going to be successful or a little bit more risky for
Yeah.
them.
It's a dead month. Everyone's went for the holidays.
It's a
They went
dead
for the
month.
movies.
Yeah. A bunch of movies had just come out in December.
A lot of Oscar stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah, I get that.
yeah, so I feel like the January horror movie is especially is especially infamous, I guess. So I had very, very low expectations for this film.
What do you do? You know what the Rotten Tomato is?
I'm assuming it's like 95% or something insane. I heard it was insane.
It is 95%. That is exactly what it is.
That's great. That's great.
You're too good at this game. It's exactly 95%. Exactly 9%. Marcus, I don't think there's anything that I need to pretend about. I had a fucking blast.
Yeah, that's
And
what
I think-
I wanted. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted from this movie. I wanted to have a good time. I wanted you to have a good time too.
Yeah, and I think the best not criticism, what's the opposite of it? The best praise that this movie has is I saw this movie with my girlfriend Lexi, and she hates it every time I take her to a horror movie. She'll refuse to more so than I think an average, I don't want to go to see a horror movie like girlfriend trope. She will refuse to way more than that. She will not go unless there's a very specific reason, I have to watch it for the podcast.
Yeah.
So she's seen 5 horror movies and most of which were for the podcast.
Yeah.
So she was like, whatever. And she left and that was a lot of fun. And it's that's exactly right.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's why you watch horror movies.
That's why you watch horror movies. I feel like this is a great baby's first horror movie. I feel like there are some movies like Goosebumps, Tales from the Crypt might be a little bit too much, but stuff
Well,
like
they're
that.
Those are kids things is the thing. Also,
Tales
this
from
is
the
a
Crypt
kids
is
movie.
very violent. Have you watched it recently?
Tales of the Crypt?
Is pretty.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Tales of the Crypt.
It's pretty violent. But Goosebumps is a kid's thing. Scary
Yeah.
stories to tell in the dark, stuff like that, right? It's great introduction to horror. I think that ghost movies normally fit that role. I think we've talked about this before, where I feel like ghost movies are, normally the PG kind of 13 horror movies. And this, I think, is a great introduction to horror for people who are too scared to see very violent horror, very gory horror. I think this is perfect for those kinds of people. And even if you do like those kinds of things, it is an enjoyable film.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I think what you're talking about, though, is I'm sure you know even more about this than I do, is though this movie is not without its criticisms. I don't think tonally it nails it 100% of the time. But I think for me, as I was watching it, now as a horror fan, like you and Joseph, our other mutual best friend, have ruined horror movies for me as an average goer because I have seen just enough to know when I haven't gotten enough. And I felt that was one thing I left this movie thinking. I really thought and would have really liked Megan to have killed everyone in that building.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen. And it sounds like there was a lot more gore and there was a lot more horror and there was a lot more violence because the first cut was R rating and they changed it.
Yeah.
Because they knew what you're describing was what they had. They had a baby movie or baby horror movie. They had a people's first horror movie experience on their hands if they changed a couple things. And ultimately, because of that, I think they made the right call.
I think financially, PG-13 was the right call for this film.
Yeah.
But I would argue, and I want to have this conversation real quick, just conceptually, I think more movies should have 2 versions. It's something that they used to do more of, and it was kind of niche, but you would get theatrical release, at home release. You would get different
popular in the
kind of,
aughts for a second.
You would get, especially when DVDs were first started coming out. You got the uncut version on the other side of the disc. They used to do a lot of stuff like that.
That's right. DVDs used to have 2 sides of the disc.
Sides of disc, yeah.
So silly.
One would be extended, one would be theatrical, one would be uncut, one would be theatrical, whatever. And so I think that with the release of at-home films, we kind of have lost that a little bit. You kind of get the one definitive version of the film. And with DVDs, you used to get director's commentary, which you don't really get now.
Yeah.
So my thing is, I think more movies should have 2 versions. Like, you should be able to go see a rated R version of a horror movie and a PG-13 version of a horror movie. Not all horror movies, because sometimes it's part of the story or part of the narrative, but sometimes, like this movie, I definitely would have loved to see an R version. I wanted blood, I wanted gore, I wanted to see that kind of things, but I totally understand that a lot of people don't want to see that, and they should have the option to not see that stuff either.
Yeah, I think what you're describing is why this might be the first movie for a while to have an R-rated version come out, and it's going to be a big deal. Like, people are going to talk about it and be excited for.
That's what
Like,
I'm hoping. Yeah.
I've heard enough people talking about it
Yeah.
online where I think they know that we want to see more deaths.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There was just
And it wasn't
the movie
gory
was
enough.
set up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cut away a lot of the
That was
times.
the whole gimmick. The whole gimmick was every single kill, you see a little bit, it cuts away. They show, like, not even the aftermath. They show, like, blood. They show blood somewhere. They show whatever. And it was kind of cheesy. At one point, a woman gets a nail shot through her hand, and not a single drop of blood came out of the hand. And I was like, that was
Oh, yeah.
crazy that happened.
Yeah.
But
I-
PG-13.
I think the garage with the neighbor was the most horrific thing that happened.
Yeah.
Like that sequence.
Yes.
And
even
it was
then, it was
legitimately
just
creepy.
Water
but you're right,
being
it was still
sprayed
pretty.
in someone's face.
And then you saw the
you
drain of
saw
blood.
the drain of blood.
Honestly, this film, I think, tactfully handled that stuff for a PG-13. Like, under the constraints of a PG-13 movie, those weren't that bad. It was filmed really competently about those like
Mhm.
part. Like, the
Yeah.
whole movie, I thought was like made and filmed pretty competently. Like,
Yeah.
I have. You can always do more. That's always
Sure.
a complaint I always have.
Sure.
But I didn't notice anything. Like, I think overall, I think the director did a good job. I think for me though, the only thing that is this movie, I think, could have gone further with its camp and its silliness, but also I don't know how you do that, because if you get too far from being like, the reason I think the movie works
Yeah.
at all is because it legitimately took itself seriously the whole time. There were parts we laughed at
Mhm.
that maybe they intended us to laugh at, but at no point were any of the characters, ironic or detached. At no point was anybody like not being sincere in their feelings or how they ran away and how they were handling the situation, which I
Yeah.
think is what made it kind of work for me.
Yeah. I think Jordan Peele might have said this in an interview, but he was talking about horror movies and stuff like that, and how every horror movie is stupid. Like, the premise is stupid, and you got to
Yeah.
take that stupid premise and then slowly walk it back until you get to a point where it is a realistic thing that could happen.
Yeah.
And then every step along the process build towards that thing, so that you gradually make the whole thing feel like, okay, I could see how we got there because of X, Y, and Z.
This movie really tried to do that.
And I think this movie did that. Like, it knew that it's a wacky premise.
Yeah.
It took itself seriously enough while also leaning into that wacky premise. And
Yeah.
I think it met that balance, which is very hard to do.
Yeah. I think having the levity to have like Allison Williams' boss be the way he was,
Mhm.
and having Megan say kooky things and do some of the things I'm sure we'll talk about that we both loved that she did,
Yeah.
I think added enough levity, but levity, but like those scenes at the beginning, and then throughout the whole film, really, before the third act where it was kill a robot, I am between the guardian, the aunt, and the little girl, like, that was some serious stuff. That was
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
it was
I
fucking,
think,
honestly,
like,
kind of heartbreaking.
There was a lot of, there were some good messages in there, right? Like, it's about
truly, yeah.
the screen parenting that is, has taken over, the fact that it is kind of evil the way that companies market towards children, and that they are commodifying the attention of children in a way that is kind of insane. And there aren't you see it all the time with Fortnite. Like, kids have free time. Kids have entire summers off. Kids have a lot of time on their hands. And I think there are a lot of companies like Roblox, Fortnite, and things like that are trying to take advantage of that time and constantly market to kids.
Yeah.
And we now are seeing the rise of AI. If you go on TikTok and you are on business TikTok or anything like that, constantly every single person is saying, here's how you can use AI for this. Here's how you can use AI for that. And instead of doing the work or whatever to save you time. So seeing a little bit of that messaging in there about how that's also probably not the best is interesting. It felt like the movie had something to say. And then also a movie about heartbreak and loss and what that means too.
Grief, right?
And
Grief.
grief. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly really legitimately loved the stuff between the little girl and Allison Williams. Like her, it was hard. Like, I don't know why, but I was rooting for Allison Williams because I was like, come on, just reach out, just do it. Like, I understand you don't know how to do this, but there's a kid right there. And like, and then the moments when she's showing her the robots and then showing her Megan, I was like, oh man, she just that's all she knows. But
Yeah.
come on,
Yeah.
I want to go in there and just hug them and like, no, this is how you do. And the fact that I was doing that at all, like, you know, broke my heart. And it means it was a good movie. But let me ask you something.
Uh-huh.
There's one hugely unbelievable thing that happens in this fucking movie. I'm sure there's a lot, but this is one that
There's
I
a
honestly
lot.
took.
I mean,
There's a lot. There's a lot. There's one
But
early on in the
Allison
movie
Williams is essentially Iron Man. Have you-
She's fucking great. I bought it. I buy it.
She's building
About- with that
fucking
much privilege?
AI. She's
With that
building
much
Jarvis.
privilege?
She built an Iron Man robot. Like fucking, she's Iron Man.
With that much privilege, you totally could. She's a nepo baby. She's a anyway. People have been going hard about nepo babies lately. It's been fucking like wild. It's like the new thing to do.
I mean,
when
it's
somebody's
just look. I feel like no one's asking nepo babies to stop being nepo babies or to disown
I feel
their
like some
parents.
people are.
No, I think most of it is that they're just like, hey, acknowledge your privilege. I think that it's
Sure.
the demystification of celebrity, right? That's all that it really is. I think that people are famous and you're like, oh wow, why are they famous? And you see the branching tree of, okay, here's how far back this privilege goes. That's it. It's not like that. No. Also, I don't feel bad for the nepo babies. They're fucking millionaires. Like, who
No,
gives a shit?
it's just interesting. It's just
It
interesting.
is interesting. It is interesting.
But anyway, so I think the most disbelievable thing to me was how much of a fucking jerk that social worker was when she showed up. Her
the
job,
therapist?
she's a social worker. Yeah, she's like
She
child
says
protective
therapist.
services. But she's not. Honestly, that was like weird to say. She was told she's a social. I mean, she could also be a therapist, but she's there because she's a social worker. Anyway, she came in guns a blazing. And the fact that the kid had anybody, is so wealthy, has a nice home, like she was judging her so hard for like not knowing what to do when this kid's parents died yesterday. I was
very realistic.
No, it's not. Well, maybe in this fucking suburbia, because the truth is, if you come to this neighborhood,
it was
and,
not
like,
realistic for what reason?
because there's so many wards of the state. Like usually they look it's like you got money, you take care of it. Are you a jerk? Well, you're not. Okay, cool, good to go. Sign the check down the dotted line.
Oh,
But
the
she
fact
came
that
in
she
with,
was
like,
so invested.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, not also just such a jerk.
The jerk
Yes.
seems very realistic to me.
Maybe. I don't know. It's just like this lady should be going to people that are like parents being taken away because of like drug overdose and like fucking crazy ass situations. And she comes to a situation where there's a super wealthy woman who seems nice and well-intentioned enough, and she can't pull her to the side and be like, hey, I think maybe you need to have a conversation with her. Her parents died and you're both grieving, and I think she's looking for someone to talk. Like that like it was just maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm fucking wrong. Maybe it was completely in line with the reality, but from what I've seen of my observations of the life that I've lived and things that I've seen, it seemed grossly like wrong. And if there are people like this, she should have died. I don't know why she didn't die.
She should have died. I agree with. She should have
She should
died.
have died hard.
But I think that, I mean, if we're going to get into talking about social work, I feel like as a youth, I had plenty of bad shit happen in my life. And there were social workers involved in my life for a while there. So I have had a lot of interactions with social workers. And there are plenty of shitty social workers out there. And I think that the social worker quality does probably, I don't think this would surprise you, coincide with wealth. Okay.
Sure.
So the fact that there is a social worker or therapist that is willing to do many visits, that's willing to go she does kind of go above and beyond any social worker I've seen or people that I've known.
Yeah, it was weird.
Also
It was weird,
right? But it does, in my brain, at least coincide with the amount of privilege that she does have. So
I guess
I don't know.
maybe
It made sense to me.
It. What do they say? Oh, she's got money. Send Rebecca because she handles the.
100%. Yeah, that's how it works. The same way that cops, visit good neighborhoods more than they visit bad neighborhoods. Like that is, they are there to protect and serve. In a train station in the Bronx, you're not seeing as many cops. You're seeing them in the white neighborhoods. Like it's just how it is.
I get all that. I just you don't understand what I'm saying though, right? Like it's like social workers have to go to really shitty situations, even for rich people. Really shit abuse and fucking substance abuse and like fucking death and like there's no one to take care of the like shitty, even for rich people, shitty situations. And what about the situation when she first gets there is so shitty that she reacts like Allison Williams is like beating this kid.
She is not a social worker. She says therapist multiple times, so it is two different jobs. And it is
then who hired her?
Court-appointed therapist.
What court is appointing a therapist?
The courts sometimes do that
because
to different cases because of a death in the family, just to check in on how things are going. It's not that shocking.
That's different. I don't know. I had a huge problem with it. Obviously, I did not buy it at all. It didn't make any sense to me. I don't know. Whatever.
I feel like the grandparents wanted custody, so there was a potential custody
She
battle.
hired Jared, you just pulled it wide open. The grandparents were wealthy, and they hired the thing. Thank you, Darren. You made me figure it out. Cool. That's how. That's
that
why
you
she's
accept?
Like this. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But the custody was definitely
100%.
part of it. That's why she came there. She said, like, oh, the grandparents want custody. She didn't say they hired her.
No. It wasn't just that. It was the grandparents got money and they paid someone and be like, yo, we want the daughter. Go figure out, find me a reason to take her away.
That's what happened.
And now it all makes sense to me.
If that's how it makes sense in your head, then let's go with that.
Marcus, what else do you like?
Are you scared of AI?
Oh my God. Shut up. No.
Why not?
Oh, because
this wasn't a transition to a game.
Oh, okay.
Are you scared of AI? What is your genuine feeling on AI? Because I feel like AI is permeated our culture. It is everywhere. It is on all things. I don't know if it's as bad for you as it is for me, but it seems to be in every single place I look. There is someone telling me how to use AI to make my life easier.
I mean, growing up in the realm of like Terminator 2 coming out and was the biggest movie of all time for a second there. Like, obviously there's like a deep seated like pop culture-y AI fear in me. Mm-hmm. But I think I've become, honestly, because of the movies, I've become despondent to it. And people say, yeah, AI is going to take over the world. I was like, yeah, I know. It's fine. Whatever. I think at this point, it's a foregone conclusion that someone is going to create something that they can't control that's going to take or produce. I feel like I don't think it's going to get to the Matrix, but I feel like there might be a time that we get rolled back civilization wise because we got to shut things down to a certain point. And we'll get back to this point again.
Like a post-apocalyptic after AI Dune. Yeah. That's what happens.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. AI takes over the world and they have to kill it. And that's why there's no like machines and robots and stuff like that, even though it's kind of like the future.
Yeah, like that. I think that we might go that way. But truthfully, I think if something gets to the point where it's like a fucking horror movie and we're like fucking Terminator level shit, I'm not surviving. I can't, what am I going to do?
That's fair. Nick, so back to M3Gan.
I don't know what your favorite parts of the movie were, but I will say one of my top moments of this film was when she is comforting the little girl and homegirl fucking busts out a song to comfort this girl, this grieving girl.
There's multiple times where Megan sings.
The first one was shocking. And everyone after was a pleasant surprise. But that first one, when it happened, it was during the not the ceremony, the presentation, right? Yeah. She's like crying instead of playing, and then Megan like takes care of her, and she bursts out in the song. That's an original song, right?
It sounded like an original song.
It seemed original. Not one I knew. The fucking movie turned into a musical, and I was like, I buy this. I buy that the doll would think this is correct. I buy the way she's singing. I buy the reaction of the little kid. Yeah. I buy the reactions of the people who made the robot going like, and the execs going like, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, I think it was funny too. I love that scene. It was a great moment because you're really into it. It's very cinematic, but also it's jarring. I feel like it's something that you don't see, something that is not something that would happen in real life. And yet it is still happening to this child. but kids don't have a concept of what should be happening in the real world because they're children and they
Yeah.
haven't lived in the real world long enough. So it totally makes sense that the AI did this and that
Yeah.
these old fucking like sociopaths thought it was appropriate and fine.
Yeah, and like Megan's learning by watching online stuff. She watches movies and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's how they would handle it in a kids movie. And
Yeah.
that's not how real life works.
I'm also glad that they didn't go the route of like, I feel like a lot of AI stuff sometimes will go the route of, oh, it has access to the internet and then it starts being really like weird or like alt-right or whatever. Like it'll just be like, you've never seen those horror movies?
No,
There's
what
some horror movies
alt-right
where
horror
like
movies are
not
you
alt-right.
watching?
It's not alt-right if the villain is alt-right. It's not an alt-right horror movie, right? Like it would be a leftist horror movie.
I don't know. I'm rooting for a lot of the villains in
I
these
guess so.
movies.
But
Like I was rooting for Megan for half this movie.
that's fair. But I would say this: I feel like that is a part of horror movies where they will have the monster, creature, AI, whatever, go. Maybe not just horror movies, but just AI movies, and then they'll become assholes or like whatever. Didn't they do that in Chucky? They must have done it in something else. Yes, Microsoft AI was racist. Or
What?
did you hear?
What
about
is that a reference to?
It's real
No?
life.
Oh, when it didn't see like the skin difference?
I don't
No,
know
that's
about
like
that
a
one.
there was a software thing like on Facebook or something.
I feel like there
didn't
are
recognize
people's
black faces.
jobs right now to test AI for prejudices and whether or not
Mhm.
they have racial prejudices. And they have found that they tend to based on the people that are putting stuff into it,
Oh.
or they have a lack of understanding of things like that because it's a lot of like white people interacting with it, white men.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you said that because that was in the movie a little bit, not the politics part of it, but the like learning the wrong thing from the internet, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
it was like there was a couple moments when she would drop facts about like fucking Allison Williams' character would be trying to parent, and Megan would explain to her from some article why she was wrong.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
honestly, really funny because like in a vacuum, Megan's like right.
Yeah.
But like in the practice, Gemma's like a person, and it's like trying to figure this out, and that's not.
I
don't know.
also like Megan as a horror protagonist because I think a good horror protagonist, you kind of are rooting for them a little bit, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
And Allison Williams is such a bad mom for like the first half of this film that you're
Yeah.
kind of rooting for Megan a little bit in the beginning. You're like,
Yeah.
actually, she's doing a pretty good job. Like, this kid needs someone to console her, and you are not doing that. So at least Megan is there for her. I like
But then
that.
you see, and I think that scene where Gemma tells Katie after she flips out on the therapist that last time because she
Yeah.
can't see Megan, and she actually talks to her and apologizes.
Yes.
You see what was missing.
Yes.
And you see why it doesn't work. And you finally see Gemma learning and growing. And when that turn happens is when the horror movie really fucking starts.
Exactly. Yeah.
And again, it was super sincere, and it was like a good moment. I liked Allison Williams is a really good actress. Like I'm sorry, I don't
Mhm.
know how people feel about her, but I've been watching her since she was in college because she used to do that
Yeah.
shit in college we used to watch,
She-
and I think she's great.
I think people
like
like her. And she
they?
was, yeah, she's a Nepo baby, but she also is one of the few Nepo babies who's been like chill about it. She's like, yeah, I'm a Nepo baby. And it's great that that information is out there because I did have a leg up in the competition.
Yeah, but she was good in this movie. I at no point did I not buy her character, but also really shout out to Violet McGraw, who plays Katie, the girl. I bought her this whole goddamn movie. She had a hard part to play. She had to pull up all this
she did
film.
a great job.
Like the grief she had to
Yeah.
have for fucking her dead parents
Mhm.
and like being in the situation and like sincerely longing for this doll. She sounded like a kid longing for its doll.
Yeah.
Like I've heard, I teach children. I've seen them like lose their doll and
Mhm.
freak out, or like show me something and I ask to touch it and they say no, 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 and like freak out. Like she nailed it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that she was a great actress. I think Allison Williams did a great job. I liked Allison Williams' arc too, right? Like she was not ready for parenting. She's kind of a shitty person. She doesn't care about a lot of stuff. She doesn't understand a lot of stuff. And then she really does grow and change and has
Yeah.
those moments where like, oh shit, like I actually need to parent and I need to be there for this kid because this kid needs me, regardless of whether I'm ready or not. You know, I want it and my sister wanted it.
And without that, the final moment of Katie siding with Gemma and not Megan wouldn't work.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it does, because you buy that Katie and Gemma have figured it out.
Yeah.
And they rally against Megan.
My one kind of nitpick here is that the whole movie is Allison Williams' fault. Like all of it.
100%.
Like she
killed those people.
Yeah. She is not Iron Man.
She's going to jail for
like
manslaughter
Justin
at
Hammer.
least.
Like she is the villain of the movie. 1,000,000%. She created an evil
100%.
AI that was responsible for killing a bunch of people. Like in any other movie, she would be the
illegally
villain.
made it.
And she
was not
made
financed.
it.
She stole government her company property.
Yeah, she is Mr. Freeze. She is like all these Batman villains that like did the same exact thing, but got arrested and beaten up by Batman for it. That is who this woman was.
All I can think of is as the final credits were rolling and you're supposed to be this big kumbaya moment between Gemma and Katie, and they figured it out. All I can think of is like, and when are they coming for Gemma?
Yeah.
Because this is all her
And when
fault.
is she getting arrested? When is this happening?
This Darren said in the chat, the fact that she's not worried about getting arrested immediately, this little girl's going to Florida. She is. She is. The grandparents are totally getting custody.
But like all this stuff didn't happen. There's no suspicion on her whatsoever.
Marcus,
it's crazy.
Honestly, all the adults, she might gotta get a pass at. But Megan killed that child.
Oh yeah.
This movie lets Megan straight up be the cause of the murder of a child.
Yeah.
Unabashedly. That was the one point I was like, oh, I can't really root for Megan anymore, can I? Well, shit. All right. That sucks.
Yeah, that's true.
And they tried to make the kid seem like he deserved it, and the kid
they tried
literally like physically assaulted Katie and was like, and I was like, obviously he's like a shitty kid, and the way he like straddled and beat up the doll,
Megan,
I'm like, not cool, bro. But like, kid's like what, 12?
Yeah, he doesn't deserve to get hit by a car.
Fucking 12.
Yeah.
And they let us like fucking watch it. That fucking cop when he came up is like, we just fucking kid's dead. That was weird. That was a weird moment. I kind of liked it.
I do like a dumb cop in a movie. I feel like that's the only way to have
first
cops
cop
in movies.
The cop with the neighbor, that dynamic.
Oh yeah,
that was funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
I thought that was cool. He was like, which is how I imagine suburban cops are.
Yeah, God, I think the kid murder was kind of unforgivable in terms of Allison Williams getting away with the crimes. And it's just a lot of deaths. A lot of deaths on our hand. And honestly, some of those people weren't that bad.
I mean, was it 4? It's actually not that many.
It was
the neighbor,
the two guys in the elevator. It
neighbor?
was the neighbor, the little kid, the dog.
That's not a person.
I count the dog. Okay. You don't murder dogs.
All right. Okay.
It's not that many.
All right.
But 5 murders. Also 5 murders.
4. The dog doesn't count.
5 brutal human murders. And
5 my little friend murders. 5 friends, my little friends, my little baby murders.
But they also didn't show most of them, so it was fine, I guess.
They did. Well, no. They
How
still
many children
died.
can you murder if you don't show it?
I think 1.
You think you get away with 1?
I think the movie gets away with 1.
Okay.
If the movie killed any more, the movie might be bad, honestly.
That's true.
Like if Megan went and killed all the people at that camp and all the kids, then it might be like, I don't want to watch this anymore. This is kids die.
Yeah, I guess it's a weird thing to think about horror movies, right? Like these are villains, they're vile people, they're evil. And yet there is a line that when they cross it, you're like, whoa, too far.
Yeah.
Like there's that famous like joke about someone going to see a movie and then Freddy says something racist and everyone in the movie theater going, oh, in Freddy versus Jason. And it's like, this guy is a child murderer, right? Like, he's not a good person.
Yeah. I mean, Darren makes a good point about how the fact that it was their first kill, I think it wasn't her first intentional kill is what the movie was going for, right?
I think so too, yeah.
I think the movie is trying to say Megan was going to torture and fuck up the kid, but maybe not intentionally kill him.
Yeah.
Which is why they made it the accident, which is why we almost are like, okay, movie, you can continue to keep going without us, really. Oh, I know. Old man Ram in the chat is like, I know. People fucking kill 1 million people, but then as soon as you kill that dog.
Yes.
As soon as you kill that dog.
Yeah, that's
done.
true. You can be a heinous murderer, but you kick a dog and you are worse.
Yeah, I feel like I remember someone talking about their movie. And it's like, and now I'm gonna make them kick a dog, so we know that they're the true villain of the story.
Yes. Oh,
I don't
also,
remember where that's from.
I think Darren said this, but the save the cat thing, where it's like you show your hero saving a cat, so you know that they're the hero immediately.
Yes. What, D?
It is free range for teenagers. It is like
No.
one of the Chucky
Read
movies.
his whole thing. Read his whole thing.
Okay, one child aged 3 to 5, 3 children aged 6 to 12.
Free range for teenagers.
It is free range for teenagers. Most horror movies do follow a lot of teenagers that get murdered, but also
I don't consider a 13-year-old a teenager, though. I consider a 17,
but
16,
also
17-year-old.
there was one Chucky movie that took place in like a camp or whatever, all boys school, and it was a lot of teenagers that got murdered in that movie. They were all like 13, 14.
And it's okay?
It was fine. I mean, I was fine with it. It wasn't that bad.
I guess that's right.
Yeah, it's fair.
But yeah, I think Darren brought up an interesting point, though, that not one of them deserved to die. Horror movies always do the thing, at least towards the beginning, where the people you want to die do die, and then as the movie goes on, people you don't want to die, right? Like that happens a lot. Like, I feel like I very often don't see you kill the person I really like right away, because then that's too jarring. It's going to make me not on the movie side.
I feel like it's more of a slasher specific thing. I feel like once you kind of branch out a little bit, it's not as hard of a rule. I think the 80s slashers kind of like created that.
To be fair, that is my tentpole for horror movies.
Mhm.
Everything comes out of that, because
That makes
that is
sense.
my introduction to horror. And
Yeah.
that is like what I think horror is, and everything's a trope from that.
Yeah, but a lot of the other genres kind of like it's more loosey goosey.
Okay. Well, this is a slasher-ish, isn't it? Like
I
this
don't know.
is more.
With
This
A-
is more to
it's-
do with Freddy than Hereditary.
But with AI robots, it is kind of like it could go anyway. It could go anyway.
Sure, but I guess none of them really did deserve to die. I mean, the boss was an asshole. The one guy was stealing company
No.
secrets, but who cares?
Well, I mean, but
the
also
neighbor was a jerk.
yeah, I feel like I think the point was to not be rooting for Megan, which I think they did a good job, because if they made everyone who she killed like super unlikable, then you would definitely be rooting, right? Because the kid was an asshole, but he was a kid, and so he didn't deserve to die. But if he was an adult doing that stuff, we would have been fine with him dying, you know?
I don't know. I don't think the movie would have suffered if I wanted Megan to kill the people she killed. I think I would have been. I don't think. And you know why? Is because when we watched Child's Play,
Yeah.
which you did not see, but very small spoilers for Child's Play, some of the people he kills are bad people that are against the main character kid, that are doing gross things, and like you're not mad some of them die. You know?
I mean, that happened with
Same with the Chucky TV show.
Chucky
Yeah.
TV show, Chucky movies. Chucky is known for that too, a little bit. He'll kill people who deserve to die, but then again, that's slasher. That's not. I mean, I guess that one Chucky was AI.
I guess so. Is that the difference? Slasher films can do it?
If you got a
non-slasher
knife
films?
in your hand killing a bunch of people, that's slasher. You slashing, you're good.
Sure. Anyway,
Okay,
would you
Nick.
buy your kid one of these perpetual pets?
That was the most annoying shit. I love the commercial. I love that there was music in this. Like,
Yeah.
I know, look, I'm a musical theater nerd. You're a musical theater nerd. Anytime someone breaks out into song unexpectedly or in a weird way, like I'm into it, especially in horror movies. It is like
Same.
horror movies are jarring and they make you feel awkward, and nothing makes you feel more awkward than someone singing at you in an unexpected time. It's perfect.
That's very true. That's very true. All right, Marcus, is there anything else you want to talk about Megan?
No, I thought this was an incredible movie, and I'm glad that I gave it to you as a challenge. Don't regret it.
You did good. You did good, kid.
I liked it
You
as
did
much
good.
as I thought I was going to like it, which is perfect. Nick, I've got a couple of questions for you. First off,
Oh,
did
but
you-
before, sorry, there is one more thing that I do want to ask your
Oh,
opinion about, because it's
okay,
one of my
perfect. I was
favorite
gonna
things to
ask
ask
if
you
you had
about.
anything else you wanted to say about the film.
Okay, good. We have already heard that there are talks about a sequel,
Mhm.
ideas where to go. It made enough money. It looks like it's making enough money. Where are we going, Marcus? You're the
You want
idea
to pitch
guy.
a sequel?
You-
Ooh, I'm the
pitch me
idea
a
guy.
sequel.
Thank you for labeling me that. That's all I want to be in life. I worked at a company one time where the president's husband was the creative director, and all he would do all day is just come up with ideas for stuff.
Everyone else had to figure out how to get it
Everyone
done,
else
how to do
had
it.
jobs, and he was just like pitch things all day. And I love
What
that.
if we got rid of the popcorn and got Jiffy Pop?
I That's ever since I met that man, that has been my dream. Just to sit down somewhere and just come up with ideas, and other people have to do them or tell me how dumb they are. That's what I want to do and get paid a
Or
lot
you're
of
so
money.
important they won't tell you how dumb you are.
That also, that's pretty good.
You could be an idea man.
That's all I
You're
want.
ours.
That's all I want. Okay, let's see. Idea man. It has to come to me. I have to let the haunted aspect of the film come to me. I mean, look, my head, I want a Malignant crossover. I think that there's a lot of potential in the AI getting out there, right? We saw that one of the guys was sending files somewhere, right? So obviously there's a copy of M3Gan somewhere else in the world. We saw that the competitor is looking to make cheaper versions of it. I think the next movie, you get a bunch of cheap knockoff M3Gans, but they mass produce them because they're cheaper. So you end up with an army of M3Gans. Allison Williams has to try and stop them, but they're all out in the world with children, and
it's very Chucky now.
It's very Chucky now. Yeah, but also,
who cares?
You want to. Here's my other pitch. And then, and then it's just an army of M3Gans. It's the same movie, but with an army instead of just one.
Yeah.
Here's my other pitch. A horror movie where it's the same exact thing I just said. An army of M3Gans get made by a different company. They get sent out, except nothing happens. Except all M3Gan does is raise the children. And slowly you watch parents get further and further away from their children, and you have a whole generation of children growing up with an AI as their mother or their parent figure, and you watch sort of how that has fucked them up as adults.
Whoa.
Big concept.
That's fucking
big conceptual film.
Well, honestly, that would totally work if it's the beginning of the movie and then one of those people turn into a killer somehow, right?
No killers, no.
Then
the horror
then you're not,
is a look at society.
The horror was inside of us all
is
along.
The horror, Nick. The mirror is the horror.
It doesn't. Okay. No one's gonna watch that movie.
I will. I'll watch it.
That's super interesting. Honestly, everyone would suspect that M3Gan comes back, but what if she didn't? What if just nobody fixes the problem and there's a whole generation of kids?
Yeah.
I mean, I think to actually make that sellable, I think you would do that until they're teenagers, and then one of those teenagers turns into a killer, right? Or something.
Well, Harry, one of those teenagers turns into a killer, but you don't see any of the kills. You just hear about it through the news. Okay, so it could be rated PG for all I care.
Okay.
Okay. And then it ends up being this debate. It's a law room drama. It's a courtroom drama where law happens, also known as a law room.
The law happens here in this law room.
Right. It's a courtroom drama where they're debating whether or not the AI is responsible, the person who created the AI is responsible, or the murderer is responsible for these killings.
Whoa.
M3Gan. I'm ready.
That's the fourth one in the series. Well, Marcus, that was everything about M3Gan.
Nick, did you like the movie?
Yeah, I really did. Listen, it's not perfect. I'm not gonna add it to my list of favorite movies ever, but I'm glad I watched it. I had a good time, and I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the thought of it.
Yeah. Would you recommend the film?
Honestly, really, yeah. I think a lot of people who can't stomach horror, this will handle it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who love horror, this movie is silly enough to satisfy them in that B movie ness of it all. That's just a little absurd. And the people who don't like those absurd things, I think there's enough mainstream things for them to like, right? It touts that line between B movie and mainstream really well.
I think it does.
I have a question. Do you know the song that M3Gan is singing on the piano the third time she sings?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure, I don't know what it is, but I know that the original song she's playing is sampled in an Eminem song. So when she was playing that piano and I walked in, I was like, is she playing Eminem?
Is it that my tears gone cold? I'm wondering why.
No, that's Stan. No, she's playing the small, tiny soldier, step by step, we fall apart. Bit by bit, but we
Wasn't it Elton John?
Oh,
it was
toy soldiers.
I thought she was playing. I knew what she was playing while she was playing it, but I don't remember now.
I only know that song from the sample that is on the track of Eminem's where he disses George Bush in the war.
Okay.
I don't know what the original thing was.
I gotta watch M3Gan again, and then I will be able to tell you. But I knew the song for sure.
Anyway, what's your third question?
Nick, if there was a rated R version of the film that does get released later, will you
Oh.
watch it?
I don't know. I'll probably just watch the clips on YouTube. If
Okay.
I'm being honest.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
Who's got time to watch a whole? I got more Black Adams to watch. Like fucking. Like I
You
got
got
time
Black
to watch
Adam
Mega
2,
Knight 10.
you got Black Adam 3.
Yo, give me a rated R version of Black Adam. I watched the shit out of that.
That wasn't
give me the
rated R
director's
already?
cut. Release the director's cut.
The DCEU is already like their whole thing is being edgy.
It's PG-13.
Their
It's PG-13.
whole thing is being edgy, and they couldn't make Black Adam rated R. Like, that's so
I'm sorry.
annoying.
You forgot to say this, Marcus. You watched this film with Darren and her mom?
I did, and they both loved
That's
it.
great. That's great.
Well, it was a PG-13 horror movie. I knew it would be safe. I knew everyone would be happy. Take your whole
Everyone would be
family. There was a
happy.
bunch of kids in the movie theater. There's like 20 kids. That was a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah.
All right, Marcus. I thought about it, and I'm not gonna give you Black Adam. I could.
Okay.
I really did like it that much, and maybe after another couple weeks, let me let the hype like fester,
Mhm.
and let me watch some like videos about why I'm wrong, and maybe I'll get amped up and I'll give it to you later. But there's a movie that I watched the day after Christmas that was literally one of my favorite movies of the year.
Knives
I've
Out.
Nope, I've seen it. I've seen it on stage, and
Violent
now they
Night.
made a movie, and I want to and I want to share it with you, and I want to talk about it. We're gonna do Matilda, the new Netflix movie
Nice.
musical next
Okay.
week.
Interesting.
That is the challenge next week, guys. We are doing Matilda. You can follow us live on twitch.tv/nowtrythiscast and join the conversation. Join us live as we're talking about this stuff. But if you really want to be part of the conversation, if you really want to influence us, we are now taking February submissions for our fan challenge at patreon.com/nowtrythiscast. You can all follow us everywhere at nowtrythiscast and leave us a review on iTunes and Spotify. If you ain't got that money, if you just want to give us some support, share with a friend. Yo.
Yo is right, guys. Do all the things that Nick said. Show your support. We love to see you out there. We love the support you guys are already giving. We really, really appreciate everybody on Patreon. It's up now. Go send us your submissions. We want to hear from you. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for joining us. Remember to go out there and try some things. Good
Peace.
night.
Friends get together so they can try things. Yell about it, it's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
No extra enthusiasm was given for Black Adam for the bit, Marcus. I really enjoyed watching it.
That is insane.
I know. As I was sitting there on the fucking train, like enjoying myself, I said, "What?" And listen, everything everyone said is correct. Black Adam, The Rock isn't doing a lot. He's really not doing a lot. Like we were in the Middle East. Half of the main characters were Middle
my
Eastern.
main problem with that movie
Ugh.
is The Rock. All the other parts looked cool to me in the trailer. If I'm being
were?
honest,
They were?
everything else looked cool to me.
I feel almost bad because I don't think anyone asked Black Adam to do anything.
Yeah.
Like the things he did in this movie were obviously by the script. The Rock did a good job, I thought, in what was asked of him, but they didn't ask him to have any. People were probably scared to tell him to do more or something, right?
Yeah.
He's been holding on to this character for like 10 years. Like, I get it.